evening, everyone, and thank you for joining me in my speech this evening. Now, before we begin, I would like to test your recognition skills, if I may. If I were to pull out this hefty little gadget here, would you know what it is? Of course, chances are you do know. It's a smartphone. And with the touch of a button, and with one swipe, we are immediately exposed to whatever it is we can find. We can find cool little games. Maybe you're a fan of Candy Crush, like I used to be. Or maybe you want to go on social media and post your latest killer selfie, which is okay as well. Through our phones and through iPads and all of these other gadgets we now have in this era, we are exposed to the world of technology. And yes, it does have its few advantages, but technology is actually falling into hands that I believe should not be fallen into. You may ask, what hands are these? And I'll answer you right now. They're little tiny hands that are just starting to feel the world. Yes, folks, it's falling into the hands of infants and toddlers. And the question is, should children have technology exposed to them at such a young age? The answer here is no. Children should not be exposed to technology at such a young age. Now, I know what people can say. I know what you may be thinking. We're in a new century. We're in a new era. This is the new thing. Well, it can be the new thing, but it shouldn't be a new thing for children. Studies have shown the danger of exposing children to technology, and its effects are seen by anybody in the public. As an educator myself, I have seen the effects of technology and how it negatively affects children. I've seen tantrums. I've seen no type of focus. I've seen children ask to be put on the computer to go on YouTube. Mind you, these are 4-year-olds who do not even try to attempt to write the first letter in their name, but they're asking me to go on YouTube. Should this continue? Should this proceed? Well, I think it shouldn't, because children should not be exposed to technology at all. An occupational therapist, who is also a writer and biologist, wrote an article for the Huffington Post, and she said, sedentary bodies bombarded with chaotic sensory stimulation are resulting in delays in attaining child developmental milestones. Furthermore, she commented how due to the overuse in technology, it is being found that children are coming up with ADHD, coordination disorder, developmental delays, to just name a few. Now, children have important milestones that they are supposed to reach at a certain age, but technology is not helping this in any way. Studies have shown how the overuse in technology actually makes children lack in their communication skills. Communication is something that we need on a daily basis. Hey, I'm even studying it right now for this speech. We need to learn how to communicate effectively. But how can someone learn how to communicate effectively if they're plastered on a smartphone constantly? How can a child know those basic, essential things of communication if they're only exposed to video games? Many parents and many other people argue that there are many different types of apps and children can do great learning, but nothing beats one-to-one interaction. It's not just about having a conversation. Communication goes far beyond the talking perspective. We also have body language. We have emotional cues that we need to learn how to respond to. But how can we respond to those emotional cues if we're only exposed to a screen? Mind you, studies have also shown that children do not know the difference between fantasy and reality. We adults, we do know the difference in fantasy and reality. We can see a little game and know it's not real. But I dare to ask a question. Let's say you're on a big level of Candy Crush and you're this close to winning, but unfortunately, you lost that level. Now, you turn on your phone, you forget about it, but doesn't the game reenact in your mind? Don't you think about it? I used to play Candy Crush myself. And I kid you not, I would turn off my phone, but I would still have the game in my mind. I would think of ways to to beat the game. I wanted to win. I just couldn't stand not hearing the little animated voice say, tasty. I just couldn't deal with that. So imagine me. I'm an adult. I know the difference. I can have that control to choose what I'm going to think about. But imagine a mind of a child that is developing. Will that child be able to understand the difference between the fantasy and the reality? Will the child be able to cope with the fact that they lost a game? Children are still learning how to cope, how to respond to their emotions. They're learning what emotions are. But if a child sees so many things going on in this screen, they're going to be thinking other things, and they're not going to know the difference between that it's a fantasy and between reality. An article from Parent.com states a comment of a mother in Ohio who said that when her child is getting a little bit out of control in a restaurant, her phone is a lifesaver. Mind you, this child is only 20 months old. The child is starting to learn how to depend on technology. He's starting to depend on mommy's cool little iPhone. And honestly, it's ruining the child. Because we also need to remember that children need to learn a basic part of life, which is called self-regulation. We all have to self-regulate. Whether it's being patient on the line when you're at Macy's trying to get that sale. Whether it's at the store, whether it's at school, whatever the case may be, we have many parts of our day where we need self-regulation. Now, in technology, there's no such thing as self-regulation. Children are just exposed to apps that move really quick. You just swipe, you click on the app that you want, and it's there, right there for you. Children are not being exposed to self-regulation. They cannot learn patience. And of course, because of this, the same article states that children become aggressive due to the overuse of technology. This article in Parent.com also states that children have dulled imaginations. It was sad when a child told me that he didn't know how to imagine. A child told me this in the school that I work in. And I was shocked because I remember being a child. I remember my childhood games. Everything was based on imagination. Everything was creativity. However, this child came crying to me saying, I do not know how to imagine. And we had to explain to him what imagination was. We tried to guide him through it, and eventually he was able to cope and he was able to play along with his friends. But it really shocked me to hear such a thing. There's no imaginative play anymore. Children could just go into a phone, into an iPad, and they can find a game that stimulates them, and they are exposed to it, and obviously that's their game. Whatever happened to playing hide and go seek? Whatever happened to doing little search hunts? Whatever happened to these games where you acted a role? We are now seeing that some goals for children with special needs is to do imaginative playing. Now imagine exposing these children to too much technology. How will they be able to do imaginative play if they're only exposed to technology? And a study that was done in 2010 also saw another effect with technology. They differentiated technology versus actual interaction between a parent and a child. Many parents do opt to have their children use technology instead of actually interacting with them, as they think that it catches the child's attention more. But this study says that when a parent actually reads to a child, there is a part of the brain that has problem-solving skills and emotions. Automatically, when a parent reads to their child, those parts of the brain are lit up. And obviously, having technology does not have this same effect. We are human beings, children are human beings, and in that delicate age, they need interaction. They need us. They need us to be with them. They need us to read with them. They're going to find out the different types of voice tune. They're going to learn a lot of things through our interaction with them. And an article from greatschools.org said this amazing part that I absolutely agree with. It says, and I quote, "Take your children outside without digital toys and enjoy the wind, sunshine, trees, and flowers. Growing brains need the kind of nourishment that technology, no matter how sophisticated or bewitching, can never supply. There are basic things in this world that can catch a child's attention. You are not forced to give a child an iPhone, an iPad to keep them aware, to keep their attention going. There are so many things out there that can be exposed to children and that they will enjoy. Technology is harming our children, and it's even harming our interaction with the children. Remember, that age will not last forever, and we have to enjoy it the most possible way we can. Thank you for listening to my speech. I hope you all enjoy, and have a good evening.